Black woman's husband left her for a younger woman, unaware she was about to inherit $3.3 billion. The day Marcus Bennett walked out of his marriage, he believed he was leaving behind an ordinary woman. He smiled as he pulled his suitcase toward the door, wrapped one arm around a woman nearly 15 years younger than his wife. "You've always been too comfortable with being average," he said coldly. "I deserve a life that's exciting." His wife, Naomi Bennett, didn't argue. She simply stood in the living room of the modest Chicago home they had built together over 18 years. She looked at the wedding photo on the wall one last time. Then she quietly replied, "I hope one day you understand what really makes someone rich." Marcus laughed. "I already do." The front door closed. Naomi didn't know it yet, but before the month was over, her name would appear on every major news network in America. And Marcus would discover that he had walked away from one of the wealthiest women in the world. Naomi had never cared about expensive clothes or luxury cars. She worked as a librarian in a neighborhood public library because she genuinely loved helping children discover books. Every Saturday morning, she organized free reading sessions. She often bought school supplies with her own money for families who couldn't afford them. Most people assumed she lived an ordinary life. That's exactly how she wanted it. Very few people knew that Naomi had been adopted as a baby. Her biological family had always remained a mystery. She never searched for them. "The people who raised me are my family," she often said. After Marcus left, life became painfully quiet. Friends expected her to become bitter. Instead, she continued showing up at the library every morning with the same warm smile. One rainy afternoon, a little girl named Ava walked into the library crying. Her backpack had ripped apart. Her homework was soaked. Naomi knelt beside her. "What happened?" "My mom lost her job," Ava whispered. "I don't want to make things harder." Naomi gently smiled. Without saying a word, she bought Ava a brand new backpack, notebooks, pencils, and even an umbrella. She never told anyone. To Naomi, kindness wasn't something you posted online. It was something you quietly practiced. Across the city, another story was unfolding. An elderly billionaire named Eleanor Kingston had spent decades building one of the world's largest logistics companies. At 91 years old, she had everything money could buy. Except family. Her only daughter had disappeared decades earlier after a disagreement. Despite years of searching, Eleanor never found her. Now, with failing health, attorneys reopened the search using modern DNA technology. Weeks later, the impossible happened. They found a match. Naomi Bennett, the daughter of Eleanor's late daughter. The granddaughter no one knew existed. When two lawyers appeared at the library asking for Naomi, she assumed there had been some mistake. "I'm afraid you have the wrong person." One attorney smiled kindly. "We're very certain we have the right one." They handed her documents. DNA reports, birth records, photographs, old letters. Naomi's hands trembled. She realized her adoptive parents had never abandoned her. She had been separated during a family tragedy. Tears filled her eyes. She whispered, "All these years." The lawyers nodded. "Eleanor Kingston has been searching for you." The reunion took place in a quiet private hospital room. Eleanor looked fragile, but the moment she saw Naomi, she smiled through tears. "You have your mother's eyes." Naomi hugged her gently. Neither woman cared about wealth in that moment. They simply cried together. For hours they shared stories, lost birthdays, missed holidays, family memories that never had the chance to exist. 3 weeks later, Eleanor peacefully passed away. She left behind a handwritten letter. "My dearest Naomi, if you are reading this, then my greatest wish has already come true. I found you. Money can build companies, but only love builds families. Use this gift not to become powerful. Use it to become a blessing." Along with the letter, Naomi inherited controlling ownership of Kingston Global Holdings. Estimated value, $3.3 billion. News exploded across America. Headlines filled television screens. Librarian becomes billionaire overnight. Unknown granddaughter inherits global fortune. Social media couldn't stop talking about her. Meanwhile, Marcus was watching from the apartment he shared with his younger girlfriend. He nearly dropped his phone. No, he searched again. It was real. His ex-wife was now one of the richest women in America. Days later, flowers arrived at Naomi's home. then expensive gifts, then handwritten letters. Finally, Marcus himself appeared, holding roses. "I'm sorry," he said. "I made the biggest mistake of my life." Naomi looked at him quietly. "You didn't leave because I lacked money. You left because you thought I lacked value." Marcus lowered his eyes. "I've changed." Naomi smiled gently. "No, you've changed your opinion of my bank account." Then she handed back the flowers. "I sincerely hope you find happiness." She closed the door. Without anger, without revenge, without bitterness, only peace. Months passed. People expected Naomi to buy mansions, private islands, luxury yachts. Instead, she shocked everyone. She created the Kingston Hope Foundation. Billions of dollars funded literacy programs, libraries, scholarships, women's shelters, affordable housing, small business grants, hospitals. Communities across America, Canada, and the United Kingdom received support through partnerships that expanded educational opportunities for children and families. Thousands of lives began changing. One afternoon, Naomi visited the same public library where she had worked for years. Nothing had changed. Children still gathered around story time. Ava, now smiling brightly, ran toward her. "I read my first whole chapter book." Naomi hugged her. "You did all the hard work." Years later, a television interviewer asked Naomi one question. "How did your life change after inheriting $3.3 billion?" Naomi smiled thoughtfully. "It didn't." The reporter looked confused. Naomi continued, "I was generous before I had billions. I was grateful before I had billions. I believed people mattered before I had billions. The money simply gave me a bigger opportunity to love more people." The interview spread around the world. Millions shared her words. Because people realized something important. Real wealth isn't measured by what sits in your bank account. It's measured by the lives that become better because you existed. Marcus spent years regretting the choice he made. Not because Naomi became wealthy, but because he finally understood what he had thrown away. He hadn't lost $3.3 billion. He had lost a woman whose heart was priceless. And Naomi, she never celebrated becoming one of the richest women on earth. She celebrated every new library that opened, every child who learned to read, every family that found hope. Because kindness had always been her greatest inheritance. And in the end, that was worth far more than billions. The end.